Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! Oh, it's a blessed day, ladies and gentlemen. We got snow in April. What the heck is that about? Oh, goodness gracious. What's going on, scallywags, nutmeggers, and conversationalists? And, of course, you haters. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. Thank you so much for being a part of it, folks. But let me just say it. It's official. It is official. We have begun. It is on. It is popping, as they say, in the hood. Folks, here is your chance. Get there now. Get there now. Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment was, "Thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican," a political rule established in the 1960s to foster party unity by discouraging public infighting. Well, WTIC 1080 will host the 11th Commandment Republican gubernatorial debate with candidates vying for the Republican nomination on April 30th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the private event room at Stadium 15 in Farmington, Connecticut. The debate will be live on air. But if you'd like to be in the audience, you can. And you can enter a chance to win a pair of tickets by going to WTIC.com right now. Go to WTIC.com, click on More Than Contest. There are 60 winners that will win a pair of tickets. WTIC News Talk 1080's 11th Commandment Republican gubernatorial debate is sponsored by AARP Connecticut. That's right. It's official. If you want to go, you got to go there now. WTIC.com. Click More, click Contest, and that's how you can enter the win. You can be there live with me, Brian Shackman, Morgan Cunningham, Betsy McCoy, Ryan Fazio. TJ Duarte is going to be there as well from Future So Bright. Joey Burgoyne will be there. I'm almost positive Janine will be there. I shouldn't be saying that, but I'm sure she'll be there, as well as a host of other folks from right here at WTIC who will be there live. So I hope that you will, too. Go online now to WTIC.com in order to enter. It is you and a guest who will win. One person will win 2 tickets, so you could be a guest in the audience at the 11th Commandment GOP gubernatorial debate, April 30th at Stadium 15. Anyway, we've all, checked out the bowl. I can't wait for you guys to be there. I can't wait for us to do it. I know Betsy is excited. I know that Ryan is excited. In fact, both of them will be on the program in due course very, very soon to come talk about that. And they are excited to communicate with you because that's what this campaign is all about, reaching all of you. So this will be an opportunity to share their ideas. And they're going to reach not just the audience there, but every one of our listeners who'll be able to hear it simulcast live on WTIC.com, the Odyssey app, and right here on the radio at 7 o'clock to 8:30. So I'm really, really excited to do this. And I want to thank the good people right here at WTIC for making this happen. For me, this is a dream come true. It's not like I came up with the idea of doing a debate, but it was my idea. This was my brainchild. And I mentioned it to Janine, and she was like excited immediately. You give these ideas, and she will go, let's think about it. Let's mull it. She jumped on board immediately, and that's the kind of support that she gives me. That's why I love this place. I know I've talked about it a dozen times, not a lot often. But the reason why I love WTIC, it is the most fun and most fulfilling I've ever had in this medium. I will always love radio, but I don't think I'll love it as much as I do right now. It's a possibility, but I love it a lot right now. And I love this network, and I love the folks here, everybody who's so supportive here. So good on them. So, with that, we move on. Don't forget, go to WTIC.com if you want to enter. We're going to mention it every hour, and Brian's going to mention it on his show, so there'll be plenty of chances for all of you to be a part of it. I hope you will be. These things could run out fast. Who knows? Anyway, yesterday on the program, and I want to mention this too. Let me say, there are a lot of people in the radio business who never want to go over yesterday's show or last week's show. I love this medium. If you only get a chance to call Reese on the radio about a subject that you couldn't get to, like, hey, Reese, you were talking about this last week, and I wanted to mention it to you, and I wanted to give you my opinion, have at it. We'd love to hear from you. Of course, call in and tell us what you think. Don't be shy about that. I will talk about stuff that I talked about last month even, if you didn't get a chance. So always call us at 860-522-WTIC. So yesterday's program, I came up with this thing, and I wish Roseanne was here to back me up. But as I was getting ready for the show, Roseanne looked at me. She said, what's wrong with you? And I said, I got to do an opening monologue, but there's so much that I could talk about, and I don't want to inundate people talking about Iran. I don't want to bash, this thing and that thing over and over again. I said, I need something unique. And I was like, I don't know, I just feel it. I need something different today. I wasn't feeling it. And then I said, I remembered someone sending to me a message that says, when are you going to drop Donald Trump? When are you going to stop being a member of the cult? And I said, I could use that as a bargaining chip. If you really want me to leave MAGA or try me, and I've been this way before MAGA. I do that to just throw that. It's sort of like throwing mud in somebody's face because they're really, really energized and exercised about MAGA. Like I said, I guess I'm a MAGA person, but I was kind of MAGA before MAGA. But I like saying it just because it ticks them off. Anyway, so I said, if they really want me to leave MAGA and stop my support of Donald Trump, I'm willing to compromise. So yesterday, I came up with the 9 compromises. And they were I just literally jumbled them all together in no particular order. And I threw a few out there just because. Here's some things that you guys can give up on the left, and I would give up my MAGA support and my support of Donald Trump. Because I know the Democrats are really tethered to some of these weird and off-the-wall things. So here are about 6 of the 9 that I said yesterday. And there's a reason why I picked 6, and you'll get it in a minute. But here's me yesterday with a sort of condensed version of the 6 of the 9 compromises that Democrats had to give up in order for me to give up MAGA. Oh, no, I did that wrong. I don't know how I did that. How did I do that wrong? There it is. My bad. There you go. Right there. Sorry, I did that. There we go. MAGA. If you just make these compromises with us, we will abandon the MAGA movement and Donald Trump. We will give you everything you want. You have to denounce these things. Biological sex is a spectrum, and men can become women. You got to abandon it. If you can abandon that, we'll abandon Trump. Climate change is an existential apocalypse that justifies destroying the economy. Abandon that, we'll abandon Trump. Open borders are compassionate and have zero downside. Abandon that idea. We'll leave Trump. Defunding the police and soft on crime policies. Abandon that. Race-based policies, DEI, reparations, and affirmative actions. Admit that COVID lockdown, school closure, and vaccine mandates were based on no settled science. And those were the 6 of the 9 that I proposed. So I get home yesterday, and Roseanne and I are sitting on the couch. She has just finished watching Encanto for the 3rd time this week. It's only Monday. And I turn on my DVR'd The 5, and the second segment, Kat Timpf from the Gutfeld Show reads this.
Democrats with 2028 dreams apparently want to treat 2020 as just one bad left-wing acid trip. Axios is reporting on how some folks who are weighing White House runs would like you to just forget many of the radical positions they took years ago. Quote, leaders and would-be leaders in the party have shifted their views on border security, DEI, crime, climate change, COVID-era lockdowns, and more, all with an eye on this year's midterms and the 2028 presidential election.
So it turns out, as a coincidence, it turns out that Axios did an article and Democrats are actually considering my compromises. They're all sitting around going, yeah, we're willing to give up some of the crazy. I have to applaud them. I do. I have to applaud them. Did they give up all? No. Of course not. They can't. But can you imagine my surprise seeing that and going, what? I was having troubles with an opening monologue, and it turns out that Axios did interviews with Democrats on key issues, on things that they were willing to forego in 2028. Here's a supercut of every one of those provided by Fox News of all of those radical positions they used to have.
The bill to form a commission to study how to do reparations. Would you sign that bill?
When I am elected president, I will sign that bill.
Of course I would sign it. I would.
Yes, I would.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
A hierarchy of values in this country that diminishes certain people based on their color of the skin.
We are over-policed as a society, that we are investing in police, which is not solving problems, but making them worse.
We made it the law of our land to provide college financial aid to transgender students.
So I ran the numbers on my 9 compromises. Where are Democrats now on changing their position? But folks, pay very close attention. There is something to note here. What I'm about to read in all of this sums up something really crazy. It kind of brings back this Nick Cannon argument about the 1960s. I'll make that point in a second, but listen closely. So what are the things that, according to the Axios article, the things that they were willing to give up, and then the others that not so much? Biological sex as a spectrum. Men can become women, trans ideology, kids, sports, and pronouns. They say mostly, but they're not dropping it. Potential 2028 contenders are dodging like crazy when Axios quizzed nearly 20 of them, these including Kamala Harris, AOC, Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Cory Booker. They refused to answer basic questions on puberty blockers for minors, males and girls sports, or whether a man can become a woman. Josh Shapiro says that trans youth do not deserve an unfair advantage in sports, but still Pritzker defends trans kids as a core value. This is the one they are most scared to touch. Polls show voters reject it, but the base and activists won't let them. They fully abandoned the delusion that feelings trumps chromosomes for child safety. The open border argument. Yes, they are willing to drop that. They are going to compromise. Nearly all political candidates, or all potential candidates, now criticize Biden's border chaos. They emphasize securing the southern border and distance from 2020 calls to decriminalize illegal crossings. Even Kamala Harris herself has flipped on when she ran in 2024, which means that even she thinks the border needs to be closed and secured, and Biden failed on it. On defunding the police, they're running from it fast, according to Axios. Senior Democrats are ditching the defund rhetoric fueled by the 2020 riots and crime spikes. Examples include New York City candidates walking back support. Instead, they're touting more law enforcement funding. That's weird. Climate change and apocalypse justifying economy-wrecking policies. They only partially dropped that, but they wish to tone it down. They're shifting from the Green New Deal fantasies and fracking bans. Kamala Harris reversed her 2020 support to talking about bringing down utility rates instead of $1 trillion green spending. Race-based policies like DEI and purity tests and cancel culture, they are criticizing the excesses. Top Dems slam Trump's dismantling of DEI, but aren't rushing to restore it or expand it. Pete Buttigieg mocked overly woke diversity trainings as Portlandia. Cory Booker wrote against canceling anyone who fails a purity test. Newsome pushes culturally normal language. He claims no one in his office used the term Latinx, even though he promoted it in California. Late-term abortion as health care. They're not mentioning dropping it. They're really, really tethered to that. I knew they would be. Socialism or socialism light. No real drop. There's not highlighted in this particular article. Some talk of tax cuts in the middle for the middle class, paired with tax hikes on the rich, which again still means that they've gone to their socialist leaning. And COVID lockdowns and mandates and school closures as settled silence, they are admitting some failure. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro wrote that Democrats got the masking and vaccine mandates wrong and would handle it differently. Newsome talks culturally normal now. This is one of the clearer walkbacks. Voters hated the overreach that hurt kids and ignored natural immunity and the lab leak questions. So they're walking back a few of them. Others they cannot. Odd, huh? Odd. I come up with the 9 compromises. These people think about it. And it's funny because even further back after the election, it was I who said, and I don't know whether or not you remember, but it was I who said that the Democrats were going to have no choice but to start moving to the right. And if they didn't do that, they were going to have to go so far left that they were going to have to resort to violence. But I'll go one step further when we return. Because what this proves in this Axios article is something that may answer an age-old 1964, 1965 question about Democrats. We'll do that when we return. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
All right, we're back. Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Catherine Needs Coffee says that your sound clips suck. I have been trying to figure this out. And again, Catherine, I agree with you. Listen to this. I'm going to play it again. We will denounce MAGA if you just make these compromises with us. We will abandon the MAGA movement and Donald Trump. We will give you everything you want. You have to denounce these things. Does that sound okay, Roland? Or is that muffled? Sounds horrible? Is it too low or is it just muffled? See, that's the whole point. So in order to do it, I have to do it like this. I have to throw the whole audio up and it sounds like this now. We will denounce MAGA if you just make things. And it's distorted now. Yeah, we got to figure it out. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. What? Go ahead. It's all right. I could, but then it wouldn't have the other effect, so to speak. You wouldn't be able to see it on the screen. That's right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could just play it straight. I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. It would lose part of the effect. But it doesn't matter. It's okay. I'll figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. By the way, we're getting some information on a story that John Silva just covered at the bottom of the hour on the Wesleyan person. His name is Samuel Schumann. I'm going to be getting some details on that, and you are not going to believe. If it's what I'm getting so far, police officers are speaking quietly about this case. And what sources in this case are telling my source is what exactly happened in this situation where this Samuel Schumann was arrested, and what exactly, like the conditions of that. I'll give you the details when I get to it. I'm rambling over here. There's no reason for that. Anyway, back to my point. The beginning of the show, I talked about how these 9 compromises I put out yesterday, it turns out that Democrats are considering them. They are trying to come way off the deep end and get back to normal. Right? They do believe that the border must be secured. They're walking away from that idea. They're partially walking away from, drag queen story hour and 3-year-olds can decide their sex. They understand we went too far. They're still afraid of that transgender base because they think they can be canceled and they can influence others to never support them. Whatever. But there's a bunch of others that they're considering. Climate change. They're trying to get away from that. They're not so much as supporting fossil fuels, but they're not supporting the Green New Deal and all of this alternative energy. Do you hear that, Governor Lamont? Anyway, in order to get elected, they're leaving all of their crazy radical positions. And as I was thinking about it last night, I said, this is par for the course for Democrats. This isn't new. This is their MO. Sometimes we forget that. And it started to creep into my head. Wait a minute. This aligns itself with this whole party switch nonsense of 1964 and 65. That's what we are told over and over again, that the parties switched. And when you ask any basic dodo bird, they think that Republicans woke up one day and say, I don't want to be a Republican no more. I's a Democrat. And Democrats woke up one morning and said, I don't want to be a Democrat no more. I's a Republican. That didn't happen. Then they've said other things. ChatGPT yesterday told me that their policies started to switch over time. And then an overwhelming number of Democrats in the South started voting for Republicans. Well, sure they did. But that's not a party switch, ladies and gentlemen. And that's not what people mean. Just because people change their votes, that's like being an independent. That's like blue Democrats or Reagan Democrats voting for Ronald Reagan during the Mondale years or the Mondale election. There were plenty of Democrats who voted for Republican. We've seen that time after time after time. No one would call that a switch, right? Nobody would. No one has ever referred to that as a party switch. What about all of the blue Obama voters who voted for Donald Trump in 2016? Nobody would say that the party switched then, would they? No. They wouldn't even say that in a meaningful way, even if a lot of Obama Democrats voted for Donald Trump. They would never say that. So to say it today is if to suggest that in 1964, 1965, that the so-called Southern strategy doesn't exist. Caused the party switch? No. See, the switch is exactly what we're seeing today. Where in 2020, they were all for this crazy nonsense, and now they're not. Now they're coming back to normal. Because for Democrats, it's about winning elections. Bill Clinton taught us that while he gave the eulogy to Robert C. Byrd, a Klansman. Remember what Bill Clinton said? He said that Robert C. Byrd had to join the Klan to get elected. That's what Democrats do. Democrats compromise their principles to get elected. That is par for the course for every Democrat. They will twist themselves into anything to get elected. African Americans will say that Democrats are the lesser of two evil, and they will vote against their own principle. If 74% of them are against gay marriage, they will still vote for a Democrat, even though it is against their principles. They know it. They know it. Ask them all. Are you for the transgender thing? Are you for the mutilization of children? Are you for puberty blockers on teenagers? Absolutely not. Why are you voting for Democrats? That's what they want for kids. They will tell you, well, it's the lesser of two evils. What's the counter to that? What's the thing that's counter to giving puberty blockers to kids on the Republican side? What do Republicans decide? What, getting them jobs? What's the counter? What's the evil thing that Republicans are trying to do in kindergarten classes that is counter to drag queen story hour? What's the evil, nefarious thing on the opposite side? The lesser of two evils, they say. Whatever. That makes no sense. But again, this is no different. The Democrat Party is always changing. Race, slavery, segregation, and civil rights. The big realignment. Early Democrats in the 1800s, the mid-1900s, strongly pro-slavery or states' rights to protect it. Southern Democrats led secession and the Confederacy post-Civil War. They championed Jim Crow laws, segregation, poll taxes, opposed federal civil rights protections, even kept Southern white support. Many Northern Democrats tolerated or accommodated this to hold the party together. Key figures like Andrew Jackson, the Indian removal, and Woodrow Wilson, segregated federal workforces, embodied this. Shift in the 1930s and the 1960s. The New Deal era. Black voters into the Democrat coalition for economic programs, despite Southern Democrats blocking anti-lynching bills. By 1960s, Northern liberals pushed civil rights. Lyndon B. Johnson, a former segregationist, signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voters' Rights Act of 1965, with more Republican support in Congress than Democrats in some votes. This triggered the party switch, as they say. Southern conservatives gradually moved to the GOP. That's what they're trying to sell us. But their ideology switched, not who they are. Modern Democrat position, partial racial equality, affirmative action, DEI, reparations talks, and framing America as systemically racist. They downplay their own segregationist history. Robert Byrd, who became a top Democrat. Look it up. Robert Byrd was a dean of the Senate during whose administrations? Huh? He was a dean of the Senate. George W. Bush was in office. George W. Bush was a Republican. The dean of the Senate was Robert Byrd, a Democrat. He died on Obama's watch. And Obama, Clinton, and Biden all spoke at his eulogy. Federal power versus states' rights. Historical Democrats champion states' rights to allow slavery, resist tariffs, limit national banks, oppose strong central government as tyranny. By the post-1930s, they shifted, embraced big federal programs. The big switch was the Democrats and their policy. This is who they are. This is who they are. They switched to get elected. Many of you will probably look at that and say, well, they moderated or they adapted. No. No. They always are who they are. The parties didn't switch. The Democrats did. That's all they did. That's all they ever do. They're doing it now. And people are looking at them going, what are we supposed to do? If they abandon the LGBTQ community, what are they going to do? If Democrats continue to get elected, remember, that's how it works. If Democrats can win an election without the LGBTQ community, they're done. They're done. They will vanish because no one will need them. If you think I'm kidding, try this on for size. I'll make this point. Whom did Democrats throw the most money, support politically, and even risk their lives for in the last 2-3 years? Who have they done it? Has it been the African-American community? Remember, it used to be all about George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. Now, nothing. It's about illegal immigrants. All of their weight is behind them. Even Chris Murphy said it. the most important people that we care about, undocumented immigrants. They used to be so pro-black. Martin Looney, Matt Lesser, cutting off funding to a predominantly black and brown charter school. You're no use to them. They told black ICE agents in the street, they called them the N-word because they were working for ICE, screaming and cursing them, calling them the N-word. White people, Democrats, seeing African Americans, myself even, I cannot believe you're a Republican. Yeah. They always switch back. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Don't forget, stand by. In the next hour, we're going to break down for you how you could be a part of the 11th Commandment Republican gubernatorial debate with candidates Betsy McCoy and Ryan Fazio, hosted by WTIC and the AARP. So stand by for that. And how you can do that. Today we have a guest. Speaking of the gubernatorial debate, we have Linda Szynkowicz for FightVoterFraud.org. Will be here. She'll sit right across from me on the program today. She's got plenty of stuff to advise you about and give you updates on as it relates to the lawsuit, the DOJ, and the Secretary of State. You may remember the Secretary of State gave a press conference with the governor, Lamont, about the Save America Act. We'll talk to Linda about that as well. And, of course, the coverage of that in the, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. There isn't a lot of talk about that. I will say this, that there were people who got the impression that Democrats are now finally going to abandon the dime return or redeemable bottles in can thing in Connecticut. It was just like, oh, it was a failure. We have to drop it. The dime was too much. We're going to bring it back to a nickel. No. Do not let them fool you. They got caught with egg on their face with the whole 1,000 cans with the photo ID. They ended up looking stupid, asking for people to show a personal ID to redeem cans while they stand opposed to voter ID. That's why it happened. Don't let any of these people fool you. And it's ridiculous to suggest otherwise. I couldn't believe it happened, but there it was. With the craziness. Where are the blacks in this administration? I don't know. I don't even care. What does that even mean? Donald's in the chat room asking me about where are the blacks in this administration. You know, did I tell you guys about that conversation I had with Brian Shackman when we were doing the election, that election night coverage, for the general? Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. He and I were talking about Kamala Harris being a person of color. And I asked him, what does that mean? And he was like, well, she's a person of color. And I was just like, yeah, I know. I know she's a person of color. But what does it mean? Like, what does that mean? And I don't know, maybe he was confused by the question. And I know and this is a white thing, that people are confused when they start talking about a person of color and then I respond to them, okay, what does that mean? And they go, well, isn't that important? And I go, I'm not sure why. And they go, well, it's a person of color. And I was like, okay, yes, I get it. It's a person has color on their skin. What does this mean? And I think that they're nervous because they're backed into a wall, that they don't know what it means. They only know that they're supposed to champion it. Like, that's supposed to be a good thing. Okay, why? Because they're a color. And does the color give them special powers? Like, does being black give me a particular insight that is smarter than anyone else? Like, does my blackness give me a point of view that is, like, I don't understand. Why is this, tell me why this is special. And they go, well, I don't know. So then why is it important? Like, why do you think it should be important to me? Like, do you think I'm looking at everything from the lens of, do you think I'm running around counting Negroes? Is that what you think I do when I look at stuff? Do you think I walk into a McDonald's and I go, where are all the blacks? Do you think I call a plumber to fix my sink, and when he walks in and I go, how many blacks you got working for you? When a landscaper comes to do my lawn, do you think I look around and say, like, how many are Mexican versus Guatemalan? Do you think that's how I live my life? Like, do you live your life that way? Do you only do business that have 12% African Americans working for them? Like, no. You only care about that stuff because you think I do. And people who do care about that stuff can never answer anything further than, so why? Like, why is that important? Well, because we need people who look different. Why? Like, why? Again, they're never going to be able to tell you. They can't. They can't tell you. No one thought that far. They think it's just that simple. Well, because we want it. That's it. They just want it. And I say no. If a white guy comes in here and he's a better host than I am, get rid of me. If you think he's better and you love him, I got to go. Or step it up. That's the way it should be. It's really stupid. Just can't. Maybe I can. Maybe it's me. Anyway, we got to take a break. When we come back, more news, more views. Dr. Leslie Torres-Garcia. Remember her? Did she ruin Hartford schools? Short answer, yes. And we have the evidence. $70 million. Here's John Silva. He's in the WTIC newsroom.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
You know, I wasn't even going to bring this up because I want to talk about the Dr. Leslie Torres-Rodriquez and this crazy thing going on with Hartford schools now as a result of her tenure as the superintendent. We'll get into that in a second. But I'm receiving news about a story that John Silva talked about at the top of the hour and the last news break about this Samuel person who is known as Vuvu out of Brooklyn, who is at the Wesleyan College. And according to a source there, which, again, I don't get it, but they need to get their head out of their behind. If this story is true and the source is correct, they are not protecting young women at these colleges and universities. Because why would you ever think it was okay to have this co-ed bathroom in a college dorm or college facility? Ever. Will you think that people are just going to walk through? You are not protecting women and girls in this way. And according to this report that I'm getting here, the breakdown is that there are no shower curtains. It's a co-ed bathroom with no distinction. Anybody can use it. Everyone has access, be it male or female. There is no safe space. Originally, at least before this story, there was no place that was safe for women to be. But after the complaints, now they're putting up shower curtains and made women safe space bathrooms. After some bozo convinced them that there were just 82, 98, 158 genders. And that gender was some sort of social construct. And needing to and having to appeal to that nonsense, you put women at risk. And according to this, we're looking at 19 female victims identified so far that this individual violated. And for what? Why in the world would these women have to suffer through that so you guys can say we're a gender-neutral space? It doesn't make sense. And when you go talk to any one of these drag queens or the LGBTQ members of any of these groups, go to them and say, what about these girls who were victimized? And they will look you straight in the face and say, so what? They do not care. And it's the usual case. And I learned this today, and I learned it the hard way. These radical leftists hate you. Even those of you who support them. They hate you. Immigrants who come into the United States and take our money hate this country. And they openly admit it. I just heard it today. I was talking to someone for about, 30, 40 minutes. And they finally just admitted it. I, of course, had to be smart enough to ask, you really don't like this country. You really hate it. Like you think that, I'll put it this way. I told the individual that I didn't live with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was homeless as a teenager. You know what they responded by saying? You were homeless in the most prosperous country in the world. And just took that as just dismissive. There are people around the globe who have less than that. You were homeless in America. And I went, what? Like even my struggle is still too prosperous for you? My homelessness means that I even had more than the poorest. Wow, you really hate this place. Yes, they do. They hate our opulence. They hate our wealth. Even they look at the poorest among us as privileged. That's right. If you live in the ghetto on Section 8, that's right, and you have a TV in your home, flat screen, beware, they hate you more. You have a cell phone, you're even more wicked. Same thing with these LGBTQ groups. You're a woman. You're a natural biological woman. And they want your space. You are benefiting. You're privileged. They don't think you should have that. So they don't mind if you're being abused or used or violated. It means nothing to them. So what? So what? Their oppression is more important than yours. You'll get over it. So what? Yeah. That's why they didn't care. They didn't even think about it. To them, it was dismissed. It was a dismissive thing. They were like, "What? And all you had to do was ask. Wait a minute. You're going to make a co-ed bathroom where there are no shower curtains and there's no distinction between man and women's spaces? Yeah, no. We're just we're going to do what we got to do. You know, we need to make sure that there is a place for everyone on campus. Well, there's no place for me. Well, you know, who are you? Just who are you? You're privileged. You don't deserve any place space. The world has been made for you. That's where they look at you. When are you going to realize it? And the other people who are guilty about it, they're not going to be satisfied until they're violated, until they're walking down the street. Someone sees them and says, you're privileged. Boom, right in the jaw. What are you going to do? You're going to cry about it? He's lashing out because he's unfortunate. I blame my privilege. That's what you're going to do, right? Why would you stand up for yourself? You already feel guilty about it. And these people are not going to stand up for you. You're going to join them. You're going to join them in destroying your own safety, removing it. I don't get it. I don't get it. When these people talk to me, when they do, they're like, you don't know what it's like in other countries. I don't care what it's like in other countries. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. Here's why. I don't live there. I look at my country the same way I look at your home. You know, if you got a leak in your kitchen, I don't care. It's your kitchen. I'll never eat there. Unless, of course, you invite me over. But if I'm not in there, if I never visit there and it's not mine, why would I care? Do you think I wake up in the middle of the night going, whoa, man, that Johnny, man, his kitchen is a mess. I don't think I can sleep tonight. No! Absolutely not. Do not care. And Johnny doesn't care about me. Johnny doesn't care that I can't find a sugar substitute for my coffee. He doesn't give two damns. He doesn't care whether or not all the treadmills are used up when I wake up in the morning and I go to my building gym. He doesn't give two damns about that. He doesn't care that I put on some water weight over the holiday weekend. Doesn't give two damns at all. But these people who are always patting themselves on the back, look at me, I'm so compassionate. I care so much about what they're going through. And that's what they did. What did they do in caring so much about the LGBTQ community? I'm willing to risk the safety of the women who go here and give us tons of money. Tens of thousands of dollars their parents have spent to come to this facility, and I don't give two damns about their safety because the LGBTQ community need their space. And you're going to let these people run right over you every day. Every day. These poor 19 of them. 19 of them. I don't get it. And all you need, again, this is a classic case, right? And you can actually attach this to anything, by the way. You can attach this to anything, right? A gun-free zone. What happens when someone who doesn't give a damn about this sign shows up with a gun? Do you think somebody with a gun, this guy, Schumann, is alleged to have not cared about safe spaces, nor cared about the well-being of those 19 girls and counting. Didn't care. Well, everybody else is changing the system around because they do. This guy allegedly walks into the place and says, hey, I get to film people, allegedly. Hey, you know what? Their tolerance is my benefit. Allegedly. But the bottom line is, that's what happened. Same thing when you put a big sign that says, we're a gun-free zone. You can feel safe here. You think the guy with the gun's going, well, I guess there's nobody to shoot back. He's a criminal. Did you ever think about that guy? In fact, how about being a gun-free zone without having to tell everybody you're a gun-free zone? That's another thing. You're always placing your virtue right on your sleeve and on your front door, apparently. We care about science here. We care about black people here. For what? When a black person walks in, you care about us? In that case, what's going to happen when somebody with very, nefarious intent comes in? I've seen it, by the way. I watched a video of a black guy walk right into a Starbucks when it was really, really high on the Black Lives Matter thing, and he looked right at the white girl and said, yeah, I want my free coffee. What do you think the girl did? Come on. What do you think she did? She gave him a free coffee, of course. And he went back there for a week. And people who don't care, while you are running around trying to prove to everybody how much you do. And that's why when they ask me, don't you care about that? No! Don't you care about it? No, not one bit. How do you sleep at night? Like a baby. Sleep easily. No one ever put me in charge of making everybody feel better. It's not my job. And these people, they will literally, and not only, the worst part is, I don't even really think they care. I think they just want to brag about caring. I think at the end of the day, they go on about their business. But when they get around everybody else, they tell themselves, but I care about that. So what, you care? What does that even mean? Well, I care about it. Okay, what are you doing about it? Well, I'm caring about it. I'm sorry, forgot. Is that it? Yes, I'm caring about it. Is that not enough? My bad. Didn't know that. 19 victims and counting. You can damn well bet there are going to be more. And again, if these sources are exact, according to this, They put up shower curtains and made women safe space bathrooms after they learned that this guy was gaming the system, a system that they put in place. They thought there was no need for barriers. They thought there were no need to protect these women from predators, or in this case, allegedly this one. Everybody's free to be you and me. And this happens. And they get caught with egg on their face. Worst part is that what does Wesleyan do behind it? And I'll call them, and in fact, I'll even ask, because I know they put out this press release, but I want to go one step further, right? The one step further is, why was this allowed? Why was this lane opened up for someone to do this? Why did you have to revert back to safe spaces for girls? Whose stupid idea was it that allowed this to happen? And would there be any accountability? Should these 19 girls or women in counting sue the school? I think they should. I think they should sue them for all they're worth. I think they should take every bit, every dime from this school for putting them at risk. Wesleyan, yep. I think that this should destroy the school. And it should. Because you have to send a message to the rest of these folks that this woke nonsense is hurting people. Let me see. I don't know what that is. Let me see. 1972, H&H or New Hampshire had co-ed bathroom with a bidet. Times were real different back then, Ned said. They should. Even Donald says they should file a lawsuit. Of course they should. Bond is not enough. He should have jail time. Yeah. Again, this is exactly why when you hear stuff like this, as soon as you hear it, I would be the person who would find an individual and I'll go, yep, you know what? Those people are setting themselves up for a lawsuit. Get ready. Get ready. But for them, it's just a PR campaign, right? They get written up in all the newspapers. They end up in the New York Times and the Washington Post. They get this great feature. Everybody stands out in front of the bathroom, thumbs up. Yay! And then the issue happens and you can't even get in contact with the reporter. Right? Story like this happens. Can't find the reporter who was yay before. It's like, hey, we got a scandal that happened in the bathroom that you wrote an exclusive piece on. Do you think you want to come back and follow up? No, we got a cat stuck in a tree in Baltimore. Yeah, we got to cover that. That's it. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. They will ignore them. So we'll follow this and we'll get, and I'm hoping because Adam 12 is probably going to work on it. If you can get a quote from any of these guys on exactly who is responsible for doing this or if Wesleyan is trying to clean this up, I want to know. What do you got, Roland?
Just that's a prestigious school or university. Shouldn't they have like dorms with their own bathrooms? Or like a
yes.
When I was in University of New Orleans, we had suite mates. So it was a bathroom in the middle, and there was two guys on the left and two guys on the right, and us four shared the bathroom in the middle, and that's how they set up the whole floor. So it was like 4, 4, 4, 4 with a bathroom in the middle of each floor, and it was inside your room, so you didn't have to like walk outside with a towel, walk down the hallway and go and take a shower. It wasn't nothing crazy like that.
I remember dorms when they used to, they had this sort of one bathroom, because usually they were in houses, so it was one central, just a bathroom like in any other house, and they had all the rooms set up with all the roommates, fraternities, and sororities, things like that. That's always the case. But yeah, that's a smart building model to have each dorm to have its own or sort of like an adjacent kind of deal. That's a brilliant way to do it. But this was, I don't know what this was or where this was. I can only imagine that someone at the school was like, yeah, we're pro-LGBTQ trans and, everybody can use the bathroom. There's no gender here.
I really hope that's not the case.
Why would it? I don't see how it wouldn't have been. I don't see. It's Wesleyan. This is an incredibly liberal school.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly liberal school. I dated a girl who graduated from there, and went to the campus and hung out there back in the mid-'90s.
Yeah, I've been to the campus a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's an incredibly liberal school. Chris Murphy is getting an honorary degree at Wesleyan this year. That's right, he is.
God.
He will be there. I think it's worth questioning. I couldn't agree more. Ned says, devil advocate will say if there was a man and a woman's bathroom, they had a choice. Yeah, I mean, the point is, the women did not have an isolated space where they could trust the system. And they made this accessible to all genders, and that shouldn't have been the case according to what this source is saying. And the fact that they had to revert to then protect women, there's only one reason why that happened, and it's obvious. Lawsuits are coming. They know it. They know it. Mark my words. We'll see. Let's take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. Let's talk about Dr. Leslie Torres-Rodriguez when we get back. It's Reese on the radio.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
All right. Well, WFSB just put up a picture of this individual who's alleged to have taken these videos of 19 and counting. Allegedly took videos or photographs of 19 women at Wesleyan. And can I explain to you exactly who people are? Let me tell you how well I understand them, okay? I'll put any amount of money this kid got into Wesleyan through some sort of DEI program. Now watch the Negroes go nuts. Watch them. Watch them. I can't believe him. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. And you know you're going to find out that I'm telling the truth. You know it. There she is. Linda Szynkowicz just walked in. You know I'm right. And watch everybody get mad about it. They'll be mad that I said it. Even though he's alleged to have committed a horrible thing, they will still care more about what I said than what he did. And I don't care. I don't care. But we'll find out. Adam, do me a favor. Adam 12, get on that, please. I need to know what school this kid came from in Brooklyn. And find out how he got there. Just want to know. That's just what I'm saying. We need to find out. Watch me be right. As I always am in these cases. Speaking of being right, Dr. Leslie Torres-Rodriguez. Big up to Mark from West Hartford on this one. Because he made the connection, as a lot of people did not. But the news media here in Connecticut is not going to. And that is, Leslie Torres is responsible for the budget deficit, or the deficit that is the Hartford school system. She wasted resources and hemorrhaged admissions at that school district in Hartford. Everything she did destroyed the Hartford school system. She was the longest tenured, and she lost students for obvious reasons. Through truancy, through poor testing, horrible proficiency, and no one held her to account. How do I know? Let's go through the numbers. The major issues that did get reported but often softened: fiscal mismanagement and deficit. Hartford faced repeated massive shortfalls, 24+ million, 36.8+ million, and 77 million projected. Even after receiving over $152 million in federal ESSER or ESSER pandemic funds. Unions accused leadership of sitting on funds and poor planning. Staffing cuts, hundreds of positions, and potential school consolidations followed. Coverage noted the criticism and state audits, but Torres-Rodriguez and allies repeatedly blamed a decade of flat city funding and state aid issues, a narrative many stories echoed without aggressive scrutiny on how the district spent the temporary federal windfall. mostly on staffing, and later had to be cut. Remember the illiterate graduate scandal? Nobody laid that at her feet. Hartford public schools were on the hook for that. Everyone was more fascinated on the fact that this young lady couldn't read, and she got into UConn of all places. Not one person brought up Dr. Torres. Not one. She wasn't even a part of the story. In fact, if I remember correctly, isn't the school district still fighting for release of any documents on that case? It's still sitting, pretty much dormant at this time. Special education failures. Multiple complaints from 2020 to 2022 about mistreatment or lack of services for autistic and other special needs students. The Office of the Child Advocate documented issues. The district agreed to corrective action. Later coverage tied this to broader funding complaints, but highlighted training gaps rather than systemic leadership accountability. She was never held to account. Union and staff backlash. All 9 unions opposed extending her contract in 2024 amid the financial crisis. Dozens of grievances were filed. Teachers felt undervalued. Parents rallied for change. A former employee made serious public allegations of retaliations. We covered that story extensively here. These stories appeared in The Current, NBC Connecticut, and local TV, but were often balanced with her defenders and her claims of progress on graduation rates and community schools. Chronic absenteeism. They covered her favorably. I'll never forget it because it was one of the first times I started here about her walking through the neighborhood trying to get kids to come back to school. You remember those reports? I remember. It was a glowing puff piece on her. Look at her out there on the street stomping the ground, trying to get truants back into class. Doesn't matter. They all left. Over 4,000. And now they're trying something new. At $983 a pop? Is that what they're spending? No, $935 a pop. Get this. The contractor gets paid $935 for every kid they can take out of a magnet school, a school where they're doing well, and bring them back to the failing public school. A failing public school that, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, it's not only failing, it's really, really failing. Try this on for size. Your kid's going to a magnet school. Your kid is going to a charter school. Your kid has got a likelihood that they're probably going to graduate early or probably get into an Ivy League school, this time being able to read and write. But this kid, that kid, yours, has finally got out of the sweltering, disgusting, despicable Hartford school district and has got a chance. And then some company out of Tennessee comes in and says, hey, why don't you bring the old crumb snatcher back to our failing school? Oh, what's the incentive? Let me see over here. We have got a proficiency rate of 14 to 15% for students in the recent years. We've also got, a reading and English proficiency at 21%. Yeah, that's right. Science proficiency at 21%. Yeah, come on back to that garbage, right? Oh, and what's the incentive for you after they give the $935 to the group that gets your kid back? Try this on for size. Your kid, if they're lucky, and they maintain a 3.0 grade point average and has a 93% attendance record, they will get up to $100,000 in college scholarships. Now listen close, folks. I want to go back to the earlier story. How do you think they're going to make up for that to guarantee that your kid's going to go to school? They're going to do the same thing they did to poor Alicia. They will socially graduate your kid and get them into a school. That's what they're going to do. Your kid is not going to be proficient in reading. He's not going to be proficient in math. He's not going to be proficient in anything. Your kid is going to be a dum-dum, and they will guarantee it because that's what this school system does. That's what the teachers union will do to your children. They do not care about you. They care about their money. If they really cared about your kids, they would leave your kids alone. They would leave your kids at these much more productive schools and never bring them back to the school districts that have been failing them. If anything, they would treat it like a condemned hotel in Las Vegas and blow it up. That's what they should do, and they know it. Of course they do. Or possibly Just rework the whole thing. Stop feeding the ugly beast that is the teachers union. Now, I know the teachers unions will never, ever call up and fight me on it. I know that they listen to me and they get really, really angry. That guy doesn't understand unions. I'll tell you what I do understand about you. You don't care about these kids. I know you don't. And everybody knows that you don't. You've been caught on tape. I mean, even James O'Keefe, back in the early days of Project Veritas, went out to a Jersey a function where teachers that are talking about how much they hate the kids and how much they don't care about those kids graduating. I've asked plenty of inner city kids how many teachers have told them, I don't care whether or not you pass or fail, I still get a paycheck at the end of the day and my pension. Every kid will raise their hand and say, you damn right these teachers are in it. Why? Because they're untouchable. Go to New York and try to find out how long it takes to fire a teacher. 5 years. That teacher will sit in what they call a rubber room, where he actually goes out of his house to sit inside of a, classroom. He sits there all day and still collects a paycheck. I know people who are in jail for abusing kids, and the teachers union is fighting for that convicted criminal's paycheck and their pension. Ask one person right now in the teachers union whether or not I'm lying. Ask them. Ask any one of them. I dare them. I dare one member of the teachers union to challenge me on it, because you know I'm right. Oh, the invitation is always open. But you know it's true. It's the reason why you fight so hard. The only thing you care about is you and yours and your protections. These kids are an afterthought. I'm sure that some people are sitting up there going, but Reese, there are some kids who care. There's some teachers who care. Trust me, that ends real quick as soon as they join the system. Oh, we see them all the time. I see them. We just saw two lovely young women who were at the antique shop with Roseanne and I. And Roseanne sat there as the two young ladies were telling the owner of the store, we're going to join education. And Roseanne just laughed under her breath. Poor girls. Poor kids. Boy, when they get a surprise when they get there. And they will. They all do. They get there, and they're all excited. I can't wait to teach the little ones. And then they get there, and some kid throws mashed potatoes in their face, and the dream is over. And it's always over. I'm sorry. It just is. Now, it's not that I'm saying that it isn't a noble cause. I know it's a noble cause. Of course, wanting to educate the young children to be the person that makes them who they are. It is noble. But don't do it in Hartford. Go someplace nice, like Greenwich, Darien even. But please don't come here. The hood is no good. That's right. And I need Dr. Seuss to make that up either. We got to take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. And, are the phones working now? All right, the phones have been working. If you want to call in for the next break, you can. And then we got Linda Szynkowicz from FightVoterFraud.org. She's got plenty of stuff to share with us today, so stand by for that. We'll be back. It's Reese on the Radio.
It's Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Oh, my goodness. Linda Szynkowicz is here, and she just gave me this list. Okay, good. Whatever you do, call your friends. You don't know. You're not going to want to miss this stuff. These documents are crazy. No wonder the Secretary of State gave that press conference. This is wild. Of some of these numbers just in one town. Let me put it to you this way, folks, and we'll go over Linda Szynkowicz all because I don't understand most of these numbers. But Linda, let me throw your microphone up just so I can, and I'll put you on camera in a second. But just so I understand here. So what I'm looking at, grab that one. Let me give that back to you. Yeah. Let just so I can figure out exactly what I'm reading here. So you gave me a list based upon each town. So I'm looking at Andover, Ansonia, Ashford, Avon. Beacon Falls, Berlin, Bethany, all of these areas. So you gave one list about the total town of registered voters, but the line before it are voters who are inactive or who should be off the voter rolls, is what I'm seeing here. If that's right here?
That's probably what
that's
one is.
Okay.
We've got so many here.
I got you. So according to this, and I want to go over the highest number here. So in Bridgeport, the total town says 76,593. Of that list, the people who have been inactive, people who haven't voted for, and do we want to say 5 to 8 years?
5 to 8 years would be the ones that should be on the inactive list.
Okay, should be on. I'm sorry. Say that one more time. Inactive list. Okay, yes. On the inactive list in Bridgeport alone, from 76,593, the inactive list is 25,164, according to this. That's what I'm seeing here. So these are people, in essence, inactive. We don't know whether or not they are active voters or not because they haven't participated in the last, 5 to 8 years at best.
At best, yes.
Okay, we got 6 seconds. We got to go to an emergency alert system right about now.
What is it highlighted at the
Oh, and now I got 10 seconds. Now he tells me. What would you got? I'm sorry. Take that. Okay, we're going to talk about all of that in a minute. So Linda Szynkowicz is here. You want to hear this. This is going to be huge. Okay. Yeah, they just cut me off. WTIC Radio is conducting a test
of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. So what I plan on doing is explaining the basic.
Okay. I'm going to get to the bottom of that. We're going to get to the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center in a minute, but I want to go through all of this to understand it. For those of you who are very interested in this, and I know you are, you guys are strict sticks to the issue, guys, and you care about the voting here, this is important to you, so go nowhere. That's why, Linda, I'm making her a regular guest on this program. That's why I say, whenever you got news, Linda, come over here. You got open access to these airwaves. So we're going to break all of this down so you understand everything about this. Linda has been at the forefront with a host of other folks across the country. She's just going to break it down so that we all understand this, and I'm hoping, I've got so many other questions for her as well, and we'll get to the bottom of that. So stand by for that. Go nowhere. Also, later on in the program, we have to talk about Gavin Newsom's wife, Jennifer. Oh, boy, do I have some audio sound bites we got to go over. We'll do that shortly. All right, let's get our first check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher is here. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. All right, top of the hour right here on Reese on the Radio. When we come back, we have got Linda Szynkowicz from FightVoterFraud.org. She's going to explain everything you need to understand about Donald Trump's executive order, about the voter rolls here in the state of Connecticut. She has a comprehensive list that you all need to know and understand. This is entirely for the wonks because by the way, Linda, I got asked about this over the Sunday holiday. And this guy, John, who loves the show, and we spend holidays with him every year. And he goes, hey, he's a big, Italian guy. He's like, well, I got to tell you, you think Republicans are going to do well this time? And I'm like, trust me, make sure you listen to the show on Tuesday. Linda Szynkowicz coming in. He was like, well, okay, I'm going to make sure I listen. So, John, if you're listening, make sure, stick around. We got a whole bunch of stuff to get into today. I'm doing a very horrible Italian accent for him. Oh, you think it's spot on? Okay. Well, he doesn't talk like that. It's like, that's my impersonation of him talking like that. It sounds like Rocky, a little bit of Sylvester Stallone. John, I love you, John. You know that. We'll get into all of that in a little bit. In fact, I'm going to call him real short to make sure he's listening. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, yo, Mark. Hey, boy.
It's Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. Linda Szynkowicz is here. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I just said I have a little bit of a sore throat.
Oh, no, that's okay. Just, just move your microphone up to you so make sure, and if I have to, I'll raise it for you. Linda Szynkowicz is here, as promised, from FightVoterFraud.org. Make sure you check out her website. She's got videos there. She's got a podcast, of course, that she does talking about voter fraud. This is her life, her passion. It's what she does because she's trying to get it right. And to make sure that we get the election that we deserve based upon real results and real votes, for that matter. And this is it's more than a labor of love. For this is a lifelong fight for you. No?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's going on 8 years.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the executive order, because a lot of people didn't understand what Donald Trump did in that executive order and why it's important, especially to a state like Connecticut.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, when I first read it, I was like, oh, It's not what I expected.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of other information that's supposed to be coming out. And then after I read it, I was like, oh, my God, he is absolutely brilliant.
Okay.
We have a commander-in-chief that knows exactly what he's doing. So you know how we hear about, we want same-day, in-person, paper ballots, hand-counted, which, by the way, we absolutely need to have.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Right. We need election day, not election week.
Right. So I'm expecting that. But there's 8 states that do not have in-person voting. They only are mail-in voting. So I'm looking at this that he's only putting his toe in the water because, the lawsuits, I'm sure Tong is already on top of it. I mean, that's their automatic reaction. Something good, something smart. Oh, gotta sue.
Yeah.
Okay, so the executive order that was signed a little over a week ago is for the mail-in ballots.
Okay.
So the mail-in ballots have to go through the post office.
Okay.
And they are all going to be coded.
Okay.
Every single one so they can be tracked.
Okay.
The best thing about this is that the voter rolls that everybody, the Democrats are all whining, we can't give them our Social Security numbers.
Right.
Even though, guess who gave you your Social Security number? The federal government. They already have it.
It's interesting. Yeah. Good point.
So all they're whining and complaining. So what the federal government has done is they have taken the registered voter rolls lists that they have run it through the Social Security Death Index to remove the dead people that they refuse to remove off the voter rolls.
So you can't get a mail-in ballot if you're dead.
No. And the illegals, they ran it through the SAVE, the alien ID, because they already know most of the illegals that Biden gave, the numbers to.
Right.
And those are removed.
Oh.
So they have taken out a chunk.
That's a huge chunk.
Right. Of the fraudulent registered voters, ghost voters, people that don't exist.
Right.
They're not going to be on the voter rolls.
It was
anymore.
relied on, and the importance of this, for those people who may have forgotten, that was relied on heavily during the 2020 election, during the pandemic, that a lot of these numbers people waited on were the mail-in, like we have to wait on a mail-in ballot vote count after everyone who showed up in person had done it. And that's where people believe sort of the nefarious activity took place.
It happened even well before that with all the numbers that were being put into the system.
Sure.
I mean, I know at least people listening to you understand that they have a lot of proof for the 2020 election and coming forward.
Right.
Just like Georgia. Georgia, the reason why those ballots were held onto was because of the lawsuit. Otherwise, they would have been destroyed within 22 months.
Wow.
Same thing with Arizona. So there's a lot of them that can't go back on that. But then you have the ones that now you have all the whistleblowers talking about what they did. And then the whole situation concerning the Venezuela and the Serbia stuff that I think I had mentioned the last time that
exactly.
I was on.
In fact, I just got another video recently about the Venezuela sort of connection that many people had poo-pooed. They had said there was no verifiable evidence that was related to, not Maduro, but who's the guy before? Chavez, yeah. That there was no connection there, nothing at least that was worth referencing. And it's really, really deep.
It is so deep. And I got to tell you, it was a few days after the November 2020 election. I had gotten a phone call from someone in Europe. And he started telling me about Venezuela, Serbia. And I'm thinking this guy's a nut.
Yeah.
I mean, this is way over my head. Really quick, I contacted a friend who was a former CIA analyst, and I said, listen, I don't know if this guy is, a wackadoodle or he's telling the truth. Would you talk to him and let me know? He said yes. I texted trusted source. They had a conversation. I got a call 2 hours later from my friend, and I said, well, is there something there? And he goes, I think so. I'm having another conversation in 6 hours. He goes, listen, I already sent you the report. I'll send you the report after this. I'm like, no, please don't. I've already had death threats. I don't need this. Well, fast forward to last January 21st, I was in a meeting down in Virginia, and there was the whole thing laid out in front, everything that I had already been told years earlier.
Wow.
So fast forward now to this year, Ian Trottier, who wrote High Treason, He had Venezuelan information, and then Ralph Pizzullo, who wrote Stolen Elections, he had information as well, with not only in his book, but others. I connected them to my contact person out in Nevada, and it's just amazing how all that information, everything is true. Then I had a woman on my program. Her name is Ana Diaz. She was the election official during Chavez's time in 2006.
Yeah.
She already had 2 months shy of 25 years. And they wanted her to remove any ballot that said they were trying to get rid of socialism.
Okay.
She was told, you have to destroy any ballot that comes in that says yes. She refused. Her life was threatened. And she's been in exile for like 25 years.
Oh.
And I had her on my program. And the funny thing she said was that the person who said that to her is now the number 2 person in Venezuela.
Wow.
And she said what she wants to do is tell him to his face, you should have eliminated me.
Wow.
Because she has so much information. That's just one little tiny bit. So I know there's a lot of naysayers out there.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to them anymore.
You know, neither do I. My assistant Tim had mentioned comments that people have made, you know, on our stuff, and I'm like, what? And he goes, they don't believe that there's any issues, and it's just like, well, they've got their head in the sand. I mean, because the information is out there, but the drive-by media, the fake media, and the far left liberals, they will never, ever listen to facts.
Yeah, I have no interest. It's so funny, Linda. We're here with Linda Szynkowicz of FightVoterFraud.org, and this is what I was just having this conversation earlier today. I'm done with trying to convince people who don't want to be.
You can't.
Right? It's like I'm not. It's like I'm not convinced because, and I tell people that all the time, if we know what's going on, let's just know what's going on, because then when the evidence is revealed, the only thing they'll be fighting is themselves to have to believe it. They'll be saying to themselves like, I didn't want to believe it. I was like, actually, I don't care what you want to believe.
Right.
I don't care that you think that this is. Can I give you the most basic thing? As you were talking,
Sure.
This is the most basic thing about all of this that bothered me. And I said this to everybody. It's as simple as this. We had a country that told us everywhere you looked, from news media to politicians to the talking heads, they said in 2020 that it was an existential threat to our democracy and our way of life if Donald Trump was reelected, if we didn't. And I said, with all of that on the line, we are fighting for the heart and soul of this country. If it was that dire, are you telling me that no one would pull out all the stops to make sure that Joe Biden win? Are you telling me that no one left it to chance after they had been completely shellacked with the Hillary Clinton 90% probability that she would win, after exactly the embarrassment that they witnessed in 2016, that they wouldn't pull out all the stops to not have that embarrassment in 2020? And you're going to tell me that nobody cheated? Not one single solitary person cheated? Or did everybody cheat? Like, you got to look at that and say, like, in this case with Donald Trump, with everything they're telling us is how desperate it was, that no one said that let's put our thumb on the scale, that everybody says, let's just give it to chance.
Oh, no, they put more than a thumb on the scale.
I know, but that's the part that try to get my head. Wrap your head around. Any average person, wrap your head around the idea that in 2020 that they were ever going to allow the embarrassment that was Hillary Clinton happen again with Joe Biden. You're going to tell me that nobody cheated, nobody, greased the skids? Come on, man.
Right. And then afterwards, anybody who brought it up, the Department of Justice under Biden came after them. I mean, Rudy Giuliani, look what happened to him.
Yep.
And he was right. He was 100% right. Powell, she was right.
Yeah.
Sidney Powell.
Yeah.
With everything. Lindell, what's happened to him? And then you hear people, well, they lost in court or this, that. Well, look at the court that was used.
Yeah.
Look at everything that has happened.
Can you imagine that? Now, all of a sudden, people are putting all of their faith in the judicial system. That's funny. They didn't feel that way after, so many other cases that didn't go their way. The judicial system sucks. When Roe v. Wade was overturned, screw this system. Now, all of a sudden, when they get their way, and it was like, but the judges said so. I'm like, so which is it? You can trust the judicial system or not? And it seems to be, again, I looked at all of those cases. They said that, they were tossed out. I said, that's not a thorough review.
No.
That's not what we do.
No, they held up, like the Georgia one that they had held up was, okay, we'll give you a court date, but, we're not assigning a judge. and it just sat there and the time expired. They pulled everything you can imagine with this. So I would like to say, don't think that Trump sat back after he lost.
Yeah, I know he didn't.
He did not at all. The same thing with Elon Musk. Do you think the Doge just started on January 20th of last year? No. All this stuff has been going on. And the problem they have, first of all, they still have a lot of bad apples in the Department of Justice. They've already gotten rid of I think it was like 5,000 people.
Whew.
And they still have a lot of bad apples.
Yes, a lot of people.
Department of Justice,
there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people there.
Then you look at the judges, the judges themselves.
Yeah. We just caught Boasbert in a conflict of interest with Jack Smith.
Yeah. There is so much with all of this, including bring up, when we were here in the Supreme Court here in Connecticut, back over the Wanda the Ballot stuffer case and the stuff we had, they decided to rule on standing instead of the merits of the case, but our Supreme Court used Massachusetts law.
What?
Honestly, you got to say it. It is the most bizarre thing. Our Supreme Court in Connecticut
used
Massachusetts law in our case instead of using Connecticut law. And that was one that usually you have just the Chief State's Attorney's Office test. Well, Tong made sure that his office was in there too, so they had the two of them able to speak. Not him himself, but someone from his office. So they fought us tooth and nail, and that was the outcome. It's unprecedented with everything. So do you trust what's going on with the judges right now?
Nope.
Not at all.
Nope.
Look who's in those positions. But all is not lost. Just remember, there is always a way, and our leader has thought of everything. Which, before I forget, going back to the absentee ballot executive order,
let's do that.
Here's one other thing that they threw in there. They have to use the list provided by the federal government for voting. They cannot use the list here in Connecticut.
Okay, so it's not okay. So this is a very important distinction.
Yes.
Because the state list would allow them to just let anyone vote in the upcoming midterms. Yes.
I
would presume. So they have to use the list provided by the government, since they will not. In essence, there's that back and forth that's going on right now with this Secretary of State and the DOJ, where they will not turn over the voter rolls. Where they say, if you won't do that, so that we can clean them up, now they will mandate that you have to use their voter rolls.
Right, because their voter rolls are actually cleaned up. I mean, the states that are against this are like way in the back seat. They're in the back of the bus.
Right.
You missed what was happening. Do you really think you're going to stop and say, okay, well, the government's going to acquiesce during a federal election?
Yeah.
That's the key here. Yes, states have rights on how they can run their own elections.
Right.
But the federal government has the final say when it is a federal election, which is every 2 years. So if you want to use the garbage list for your local primaries or something here in Connecticut, not involving any people who are going for federal office, well, then I guess they can use that, you know. But what's going to happen with this is that, there's going to be some people that may not be on the list for whatever reason. There will be a way that they can get on the list.
Sure.
And if elected officials, meaning registrar of voters, register someone without absolute proof of U.S. citizenship, it's a criminal charge.
Okay.
I think that is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Because it ties into everything we're talking about, people not doing their job.
Yeah, we'll get into that because that's very important in this list, because not only is it extensive, but it is so wide-ranging in the amount of people who are still sitting on the voter rolls, having not voted in 2 consecutive elections. We're talking about 5 to 9 years, have had no role in voting, and their names still appear there, which, again, opens the door to so much fraud in this case. We'll talk about that when we come back at the other side of this hour. Linda Szynkowicz is here. Please visit her at fightvoterfraud.org. Again, fightvoterfraud.org. .org. She does a podcast. She posts videos on how you can get involved and stop voter fraud in your own community, even on your own block. All right, so stand by for that. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher is here. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, sir.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. Reese on the radio here. I'm live with Linda Szynkowicz. We're going to talk some more. Might as well put you back on there. Because this is a short break before we get back into weather and traffic. You and I were talking behind the scenes here about stuff that we can't talk about on air. But some good stuff nonetheless. So you're still working diligently because I know the Secretary of State as well as William Tong, the Attorney General, are fighting to keep the voter rolls out of the hands of the federal government, or as they put it, Donald Trump, like he's going to be overseeing it. They are fighting tooth and nail to do that. But the list that you have here, what is this in comparison to that? Like what you're trying to gather or what you've gathered are what exactly?
Okay, so you can purchase Connecticut voter rolls for $300.
Right.
And the only thing that is missing are the identifiers of the Social Security number, the last 4 digits. And I don't even know because we don't get it, whether the driver's license number was on there.
Okay.
The birth dates now, I mean, they screw around with the birth dates.
Right.
You know, we have it from past ones where you had your first, month, day, and year.
Right.
Now I think that they're at the month and year, but maybe they're going to go to just the year. But what was funny a few years ago when they switched, after it was voted that they would take that out, let's just say some of the politicians were able to get it put back in because they realized they needed that. When
okay.
But it's just
I got you.
So anyway, so what we do, and this analysis that we've done, I believe, is from the voter rolls from December 3rd.
Okay.
So December 3rd of 2025, even though she had the wrong year on there.
Right.
It's 2026. So what we did was we looked at ones to see how many people are still on the active voter rolls over 9 years.
Right. In other words, they have not voted in the past 9 years, but still currently sit on the voter rolls.
Right. And it could be up to 30 years, but they're still active. What the problem with that is that they're supposed to have been canvassed by the Registrar of Voters.
That's right.
Within 2 consecutive federal elections, the 4 years. And if it comes back a card or if they make a phone call, they can't get through, comes back undeliverable, it gets put on the inactive list for another 4 years unless evidence is brought forward or a person lets them know, listen, I'm no longer there. This is where I am now. Remove me from the list. Which is also another problem. We've heard people who have done that, yet still find out 2 years later the registrars never removed them from the list.
Interesting.
It depends where you're at. I mean, you've got some registrars that are fabulous doing their jobs, and you've got others that
they've completely shirked their responsibility.
Right.
We'll get to that in a second. I've got to go into another traffic break with Mark Christopher. But that's the part I want to get into, and I want to look a little bit at these numbers because they are quite daunting. Some of them are insignificant, but some of them are a lot. So we'll get into that. Mark Christopher's back. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
It's so unfair, Linda. It's so unfair. We have so much that we talk about behind the scenes that we can't talk about on the air. Strategy, folks, strategy. Let me tell you something, Linda, I love you. That's why every time you ask me to come on here, I don't care what anybody says. They may say that you're my favorite. You are my favorite. I love it when you come here because you love being on the show anyway.
Yes, I do.
I love bringing you here because you're fun because you and I, and it's so funny because I'm such an election wonk. Like, I'm so involved in what you do. I could never do it because I don't have that kind of attention span. You are just so enveloped in this. And I envy you. And to be honest with you, that's why I bring you in here because you get to tell me the stuff that you do all the work for, and I'd get to take credit for it. No, I'm kidding.
But trust me, I have a lot of people taking credit.
No kidding. I know. That's why I said it. Because you do so much of the legwork for all of us, and I love that you do. So this forum is yours. And that's why I say anytime you ever call me, because Linda called me this time. She goes, hey, listen, I need to come on the show. And I'm like, Linda, don't worry about it. You know you're there. So anytime you ask, you know that. And I only do that for a few people.
Thank you.
So, okay, tell me what it is that's most important to those of us who are deeply involved in how much fraud is going on here. And if it's not fraud, just mismanagement of the vote count. What's going on and what did you find?
Okay. This is stuff that's really simple for us to do since we have it down to a science.
Okay.
We not only do this in Connecticut voter rolls, but obviously the other ones across the country. So the first thing we want to look at is people who should not be on the voter rolls.
Right.
Because all this stuff that we have is a violation of HAVA, the Help America Vote Act, and the NVRA, the National Voter Registration Act, which is why the DOJ is asking for the voter rolls, because they can easily do what we do, or with our help, can show them, yes, this is why they are violating the federal laws.
Right. And if this is an important part, because a lot of people in this state, mostly on the conservative, maybe even some on the independent, are very concerned about supermajorities. And sometimes, and I'm sorry, sometimes the reason why that's happening is because someone is allowing fraud to take place in the elections. Because there should be some accountability for bad policy. In essence, if there are people out there who wish to vote bad politicians out, if there's fraud going on, they may not be able to have the apparatus or at least the information to do so. And if there's fraud going on, they'll never know.
Absolutely.
Okay, go
Absolutely.
on. I'm sorry.
So the first things we looked at were people who haven't voted in more than 9 years. So that's beyond the, first 4 years, the second 4 years of inactive, and the 1 year on the off list if they don't hear anything. And it was just astounding because for several years, we sent this information with the details. And it's not just, who voted or whatever, the registrations, the 1/1800, which is a clerical error, the 1/1900, which means, again, a clerical error on the birth date.
Okay.
If a registrar does not put in the birth date, it automatically flips to 1/1900.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
when you have, oh my God, you got all these people 126 years old
Okay.
that are voting.
And that's just a clerical error.
It's a clerical error that should have been caught multiple times over, and it's stuff that we have pointed out to every single town in Connecticut, 169 towns. So for several years, we were showing them this, not just the numbers, exactly who it is.
Ooh, okay.
We know exactly who these people are. These aren't just numbers.
Okay.
We know who these people are.
Wow.
And this is information if people out there are interested in your town, you want to know, your numbers, or
because you could very well be one of the people, if not a relative of yours, could be one of these people.
Right.
Okay.
So we also have a disclaimer on there that this is just an analysis of the voter rolls, that you will do your own due diligence. We're not responsible for anything.
Right.
You cannot sell this information. You cannot use it for any fraudulent purposes. This is what we got in looking at Connecticut voter rolls and doing our analysis on who should not be on the voter rolls, who should be on the inactive list, ones that should have been taken off years ago. And people will say, well, who cares? Right? Well, we care, because there's a lot of nefarious people out there filling out absentee ballots for people, or even going in person and pretending they're them.
Yeah, and if there's no checks and balance, right, there's no registrar there with the information that says this person hasn't been on the voter rolls, they're not even connecting those dots.
Right.
And that vote gets through.
So this is what's been going on for a very long time, and we started doing the analysis in 2023.
Okay.
Since then, you would think it would get better because we're helping them. We're showing you exactly who it is. We showed you exactly where the problem is. It got worse.
Really?
It got worse. It is so ridiculous right now. I think it's like 246,000. I think we have on the number there.
Yeah, that list there. Yeah.
With that should have been either on the inactive to off list or the active to inactive list. Another astounding thing is that we ran the deceased voters through our system because we get the Social Security Death Index.
Right.
And we match on first name, last name, middle name, and date of birth. Now, it took us several years to get the dead people off the Connecticut voter rolls. I think there was still like 1,000 that we proved that they still didn't want to take off the list.
How many were there altogether, dead people?
In 2020, I think it was like 7,741. And 542 of them voted in 2020. And some even voted in person.
Wow.
So we struggled to try to get them to take them off. And I'll tell you, there were some registrars that were so thankful to us because we helped them do their other jobs. There were others that literally gave us the middle finger,
wow.
you know. And now we ran the list about 2 months ago. Guess how many dead people are on the Connecticut voter rolls right now?
Please.
Over 6,700.
Wow.
Again. So where is the disconnect here? The disconnect is that our Secretary of State does not feel it's worth actually getting the system that will allow the registrars to run the names themselves. If the state isn't going to run them, they should be able to do it. What they do is they send a list. I believe now every month they may send a list. But it depends whether or not the registrars actually take action. And the difference between someone who should be on the inactive list or whatever compared to someone who is dead is that if they're dead, they are immediately to be taken off. It doesn't even encompass that 90 days before an election, you can't touch anything.
Yeah.
If they're dead, I'm sorry, they're dead.
Right.
But what happens is we have the permanent lists for absentee ballots that get sent out to certain people, so they still get sent out. Oh, Grandma would have wanted to vote this
I know.
way.
Man.
You know?
Every time you tell me that story, I always go, we're just voting for what Grandma would have voted for if she were here. It still bothers me when I hear that story.
And you hear, you know, the nefarious ones, they know that person is deceased. They're going to look and say, well, the person hasn't voted in 8 years. They're still active? Maybe we should send somebody in, pretend it's them, or apply for an absentee ballot under their name, which has happened. How many of your listeners have gone to vote, and when you get there, you're told, oh, you already voted?
There's so many people who called me last two elections. People called me here and said that happened to them.
That's what is happening. And it goes down to the basics on cleaning the voter rolls, which is what the Department of Justice wanted to help out with, which now they're going to be doing it mandatorily. They'll be sending it to us. Yeah. But any state that does pushback is doing it because they need the illegals on the voter rolls. They need to keep the dead people on the voter rolls because they know certain places will fill out their ballots.
Answer a question for me that I get from the naysayers that we get a lot of. And this is something that has sort of weighed on me a little bit because people keep saying it's like, oh, it's not widespread voter fraud. I know what you're going to say. I knew your reaction was going to be that. But this is the part that, again, I always say this. Wanda Pataki's case, was it 91 counts?
Yes.
Of fraud? Okay. So when I'm looking at an election, or when they're looking at an election, they're going, in order for it to be widespread, it's got to be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of fraudulent voting in order to win elections. But then I laid out just recently Mayor Arunin from Hartford, his election. In the gubernatorial election in Hartford, Hartford voters showed up, I think about 19,000 people voted for Lamont. In the presidential election, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, about 23,000 voted for Kamala Harris. Mayor Arunin's election in Hartford, 4,700 people voted. That is you know what I'm saying? That's the distinction I'm trying to make to these people about fraudulent voting. That's a crazy difference of voting for their local. I mean, they're voting for mayor. Only 4,700 people showed up. It begs the question, how many people are showing up in a gubernatorial election versus even the federal one? There's got to be a huge number of fraud to see that. It's just not because it's not about catching it. It's about not catching it. That's the problem.
Right.
Is that right?
And there are absolutely ways that we can fix this. We can fix this problem. First, you need to get involved. Everybody needs to get involved. I told you about our Operation Verify Voters 2026. Right. Go to our website, sign up for it. It takes 15 minutes. We'll teach you what you can do. You don't even have to join a group. You don't even have to donate if you don't want to, although we're a nonprofit. And
right.
That's
nice.
What we need.
Yeah.
You know, we're helping you. But you know who died, who moved in your neighborhood. You know that there's only 2 people that live in that house across the street. Go check the voter rolls. Yeah. What do you mean there's 27 people registered there? I'm serious.
And you'd be surprised. An abandoned building, abandoned house in your neighborhood.
We know across the country where people are registered to vote. In an abandoned gas station in, the wilderness in Oregon. You've got X amount of people registered to vote there. And I joke about the outhouse in the middle of a desert. Yeah. You've got people registered to vote there. You've got them registered to vote in places they're not supposed to be registered to vote.
And people think that, it is ticky-tacky. I get it. Is it 17 votes here, 23 there? They all count. Every bit of election fraud counts. Calling it not widespread, meaning that if it's not widespread, there isn't fraud, or at least reasonable amounts of fraud, it's not even a discussion. It's a non-starter. Right. Fraud is fraud.
Right. And if you drill it down to your local level, what should be the most important thing? Right. It's your town.
That's right.
Your taxes, everything that goes on with that. Well, what would you think if you have people who are always against you on the Board of Education with all the DEI and all this other crap, if you found out that their votes they got weren't real? Because some of those votes are only by a couple of votes. I always bring back to 2018 because I hadn't really followed it since. There were 22 races determined by less than 100 votes, and some by 1 or 2 votes or 3 votes. I mean, that could be the difference between your mayor or your town clerk.
And that's the fair argument here is that, and I think that's when people use the term widespread, is that when they're thinking about election fraud, they're thinking it on a level of presidential election because those are millions of votes. But again, voter fraud happens in the small scale because local elections matter most.
Right.
And we wouldn't have the Wanda Patakis. And again, Wanda wouldn't have done or alleged, to done what she's done because she's not convicted yet. But she wouldn't have done what she's alleged to have done if it didn't matter, right? Like there's no reason to put in 7 votes if they didn't matter at all. Those 7 votes matter. She's got 91 counts. Oh, money plays a role too. Yeah,
money plays a role. And as I've mentioned before, you've got the cartels involved in this.
That's right.
There's a lot of money in this. A lot of money. I mean, Hartford, you've got the cartels in Hartford in a big way, which, Tong embraces. We got to keep all the terrorist groups there. But like I told you, I think I told you before, it was before the 2024 election, a Democrat sent a video to all the legislators because she was upset that the cost for the votes for the illegals were going to be more than $100.
What?
Yes. $100 a vote for the illegals in Hartford before the 2024 election, but the price was going up.
Wow.
So it's not that the illegals get the money, it's the cartels.
That's right.
So, the illegals may get like $5 out of maybe 125
to show up to vote.
But people are paying money. I mean, it is crazy, and this is all across the country. There is so many problems with everything that tackling the illegals, they are not undocumented. I am sorry. You step foot across our border. We have a legal way you can come in. It is illegal to do that. And then we've seen what has been going on with all the fraud stuff and all the programs. And here in Connecticut, 2023 was like $3.2 billion of our tax dollars went to the illegals in the state of Connecticut that Tong wants here. Well, they need to fill, the jobs that others won't take. There are jobs that everyone will take because everybody works their way up, and you have illegals taking these jobs. So they're protecting them. They're getting their votes. They need them there. I mean, It is so involved. But anybody out there right now who's going, oh, she's out of her mind. You know, I mean, I've heard this before, and I've heard some other things. I'm not.
Linda, thank you as always for coming in. It is always a pleasure to have you. You know I love you. You'll be back as soon as, because we got some new stuff that's coming up soon. So
it's the hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Sorry, I was on the phone with Courtney Ann. You remember her from Courtney's Courtroom. I haven't hollered at her for a while, so I was just rambling with her for a little bit. You know, let's do our thing. News. Today's birthdays. Ben McKee of Imagine Dragons turns 41 years old today. John Cooper is 51. He is the Skillet frontman, who's also a high-energy Christian rock singer. You may know him if you're into Christian rock. He turns 51 today. Janice Jan, the 75-year-old folk icon, who had a smash hit at 17. He is 75 today. And from my favorite band, Hall & Oates, and it was my favorite band growing up, John Oates turned 78 years old today. 78 years old today, even though he is no longer with, Hall, so it sucks. It's like your parents getting divorced. They'll never join forces again. Album chart anniversaries are as follows. 11 years ago, Don McLean sold the original manuscript for American Pie for $1.2 million at Christie's. 36 years ago, Bonnie Raitt's Nick of Time hits #1. Remember when she was big? 47 years ago, the Doobie Brothers, Minute by Minute, topped the Billboard 200 back in 1979, packed with the very famous and very Grammy popular What a Fool Believes, written by Kenny Loggins. 48 years ago, Prince released his debut album, For You, in 1978. I think he played every instrument in that album. And 70 years ago, Little Richard's Long Tall Sally enters the Billboard Top 100 back in 1956. I can honestly say Bonnie Raitt, that run back 36 years ago in 1990 was big for her. And she had been around for a while, but I didn't know anything about Bonnie Raitt, but she was big as sort of a mainstream artist back then. And what was I going to say? The Prince first album, For You. I know nothing about that album, but I do remember the Doobie Brothers, Minute by Minute. That one I definitely remember. That's your music news. Mark Christopher, he's back. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center getting you home. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. Reese on the radio here. Nern, that was brilliant of you. You said Y2K. When Linda was talking about if the date of birth isn't there, it goes back to the 1900s. I was thinking the same thing when she said that, because remember that was the big fear during Y2K, that all of the computer clocks would go back to the 1900. I totally remember that. I totally remember that, and I thought the same thing. Boost and Roost says that it doesn't need to be widespread. A couple of votes can change a local election. Exactly the point. I was totally channeling you there, Boost and Roost. And thank you for that. John D. says the media will never look into this. We have all of this information. So many things are connected. Is anything going to be done? Let me tell you something, because Linda and I cannot talk about a lot of things that's going on the inner workings. For obvious reasons, they can't be. One, you don't spook anybody. And two, you don't let anybody on to what's going on. Linda is very, very active in what's happening here and abroad. And she talks to me a lot. And like I said, they could call me all day. Beg me, get on your knees, beg me. I will tell you nothing. And let me tell you, I will tell you this, boy, I'm so enriched every time I sit and talk with her. I'm so enriched. And everything that I know and everything that I believe, I know it. I say to myself, no, I'm certain of this. And people give me you really think that's going to happen? And I go, yep. Sure enough, the right people come up to me and they go, yeah, we heard what you said. And I went, okay. Anyway, I'm ahead of myself on this one. They go, no, not at all. You're right over the target. And I go, that's what I thought. As I tell people all the time, I'm well-sourced. I never tell people, I don't brag. I don't brag on people. I don't talk about who I know and who's in my pocket and what connections I have. I don't do it. I don't. I will tell you this, though. We will be getting Nick Shirley on the program very soon. That's happening. I got people working diligently. Got them working. Let me see. Lacey Media. Okay. So there's plenty of stuff to tell you about. Let me tell John. John, I will call you after the show. You're going to love the information I'm about to give you today. And I'll say, like I said, if you ever see me out there hanging out and you go, Reese, what was that thing you were talking about behind the scenes? I'll be happy to tell you folks. I'll be happy to. I'm not shy at all. Just not doing it on these airwaves. But if you ever want to know, as they say in the hood, holla at your boy. I'll tell you all the good stuff. Boy, there is some good stuff coming. Now, with that, in the beginning of the show, we talked about the 9 compromises. If you're new to the show or you just got here and you missed yesterday's, the 9 compromises are things that the Democrats should give up in order for us to denounce MAGA or Trump entirely. And they are simple. They're really, really simple things. And I think that, I wish there were 10, but there are 9. The 9 compromises are that the people on the left have to no longer suggest that biology is a spectrum, that men can be women and women can be men. They have to abandon that in order for us to abandon Trump. Open borders are compassionate. They have to drop that. Defund the police. No more of that. Climate change apocalypse. Gotta go. Race-based policies, DEI, CRT, the whole mess, gone. Meritocracy returns. Late-term abortion called reproductive health care. Got to be gone. Abandon it. Socialism light, redistribution, give it up. And COVID lockdowns, admit they were wrong, that herd immunity was nonsense. Oh, and my other one, what was the other thing? What was the Dr. Fauci thing that he said? Natural immunity that he dismissed entirely, even though years earlier he said that it was a thing during the flu cases, some 20 years before. Anyway, abandon all of those things, and we will, we'll denounce Trump and MAGA. We won't be a part of it anymore. And I told you that Axios put out a piece asking some of the front runners about some of the things that they were willing to walk away from, in essence, considering the compromise. And biology about sex, men and women bathrooms, most, but they're not dropping it entirely. Open borders, they're going to drop. Defunding the police, dropping it. Climate change, partial drop. No more Green New Deal. They'll just tone it down, they said. Race-baiting policies, they're going to bounce from that. They don't want any more. Late-term abortion won't touch. I'm sorry. That is their sacrament. Socialism, no, they can't. No, because redistribution is who they are. Just who they are. COVID lockdowns, they admit it. They say, yep, we went too far. But one of the front runners may have a bigger problem on their hands. He is one of the favorites. He is their most attractive candidate. He is California Governor Gavin Newsom. And Gavin Newsom, if indeed he comes out as the front runner, the thing that will do him in will be his wife. Oh, yes, it will be. His wife will be his ruin because she just can't be quiet. Now, I know there's some ladies out there saying, what you mean, Reese, she should be quiet? Well, if you listen to her, some of you ladies might agree. Perhaps she should not speak so much. Like in this case, where she says, if women were at the table when the tech companies were designed, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, if women were at the table when all of these were invented, how different it would be.
Look at Silicon Valley. Had more women been early on in those companies or at the tables of power making decisions, I don't think we would have so much or have allowed for so much sort of bigotry, racism, misogyny, and hate online. I don't think that we would have the anonymity of it. I think that there would have been ooh, that's unkind. That's not okay. You can't make money off of that, about dividing people, misinforming people, belittling people, bullying people. I mean, again, think about who's the victims online more often than not. It's women, LGBTQ+, marginalized communities, women of color.
Yeah. See, she's not abandoning any of that craziness that Democrats clearly are trying to get as far away from that they can. They also want to regulate masculinity. That's right. Jennifer Newsome says that her and her husband were confronted with their own son, who thought that Andrew Tate was cool. But not just that Andrew Tate was cool, but that it scared them into believing they've got to do something about boys who might like people like Andrew Tate.
We all know, I think, or increasingly are realizing that boys are moving away from sort of the more progressive boys that spend time online, are moving a little bit, I'm trying not to be political here, but are moving to the right and being sort of influenced by the Andrew Tates and some of that sort of alt-right socialization online that we know is very, very dangerous.
Look how dangerous it is. It's dangerous. It's dangerous that masculinity is coming around.
My husband and I were alarmed when our kids were watching sports online, and my son knew about Andrew Tate and thought he was pretty cool, and thought that his Republican grandfather, who's not a Trumper but a fiscal conservative, thought that my father would like Andrew Tate. So that's scary. We're like one of the most progressive households, and our son is confused and asking all these questions. We're working on legislation to hold tech companies accountable and help them be a force for good in our kids and families' lives, to really provide all the best-in-class resources and support for youth so that they don't go down this rabbit hole of very, very dangerous and limiting narratives around ultimately what it means to be a girl and what it means to be a boy. The Gov and I, we have 3 more years. We're trying to institutionalize our values so that they carry on beyond our term.
That's right. They want to institutionalize their values. They are going to be the people who implement their values on to you. That's right. Ladies, huh? Let her keep talking, huh? Sure. Let's go one more. This one is a fantastic one. She says she wants more people more woke.
We're all on a spectrum, right? It's just how society kind of pushes us and pressures us into these limiting gender roles. But again, the folks on the far right, they're missing is just this, they're living in this silo, this evangelical conservative silo that ultimately it's just pulling us back as a country to a time and a place where we don't deserve to be, and we're not going to be, because honestly, young women and fathers of daughters are awake now, and they're woke, and they're not going to let us go back. And so I have so much hope because of that. And obviously, California has a huge responsibility to lead.
Yeah, because they're woke, and they're going to stay woke because we're woke, and everybody's woke. You guys want more of this? Yes. You think Gavin Newsom's going to win with this platform with the wife? I doubt it. There comes a time when he's going to have to go, sweetie, I love you. But you get shot. He's just going to have to do it. He's just going to have to look. He's like, yeah, look, you're a very attractive woman, and I think people will enjoy you, but you're going to kill us. You're going to kill our campaign, okay? You keep talking about this woke stuff in the LGBTQ community, and, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I'm going to need you to stop it. Absolutely. He's trying to run away from the woke stuff. He's telling everybody, He's telling everybody, my kids love Charlie Kirk. Yeah, my kids love wrestling. My kids love MMA. And the wife's sitting up there going, this is very dangerous. This is very dangerous. We need to regulate this. That woman's going to implement policy at the White House. Come on, ladies. I know you're saying to yourself, we're going to need you to be quiet. But that's what they're pushing. Good luck with her. Good luck. You Democrats. I want to know what the Democrat men think of her. That's what I want to know. I want to know what they think of her, if they even like her. Michael A. says, does the whole family all do the hand gesture thing? That kind of rubs off on people. They're around each other all the time. They communicate the same way. That's just the way. If you looked at Jennifer Newsome, she kind of looks like Gavin. They've been around each other so long that they're kind of, identical twins in a weird way. It's, again, I want more of this woman talking. Some of you are going to say, I don't think I can do it. Yeah, I really want this woman to keep talking. I want her to be the moral authority of her party. I want to see the women backing her. I want to see them all dressing like her. Susie Homemaker and all. I want it. Teacher says she sounds crazy. This is the reason why I want more of it. Yes, because she sounds crazy. We need to encourage this. We should make sure that every Democrat marries a woman just like her. And they're all coming out of the woodwork, talking about stuff they know nothing about. Anyway, this is going to be great to watch. It is, for me at least. It'll be fantastic. When we come back, what else do I have? Oh, we have, I want to tell you about our guest that's coming in tomorrow, Gwen Samuel, and I do believe Shamika's coming with her. I want to make sure of that as well. I don't know for certain, but they should be here tomorrow at 4 o'clock so I can talk to them. And this is in relation to the Capital Prep School and Matt Lesser, them trying to get him off the Black and Puerto Rico. Sorry. I almost got through it. Without laughing. Sorry, Matt Lesser is in the Black and Puerto Rican caucus. Yeah, we're going to talk to them about removing him from that. Why does that make me laugh? It completely tickles me. Anyway, before they get here, when we get back, I'm going to read to you this incredible stat that I have in my hands. Because this is going to be an important part of my conversation with these ladies tomorrow. And with the African-American community here in the state of Connecticut, is that they're being ignored. And I was talking to someone earlier today, and do I have time? No, I've got to go to a break. When we come back in the next break, I'm going to read something that I looked up. And it's very important as it relates to Democrat policies, Democrats in Connecticut, and minority communities here in the state. Stand by for that. Mark Christopher, he's getting you home because he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
You ain't even right. I swear to you. We're back. It's Reese on the radio right here. I don't have my phone with me, but you know what? Screw it. I can wing it. Folks, you want to be a part of the WTIC 11th Commandment Republican gubernatorial debate. Well, guess what, folks? You can. You go to WTIC.com. Log on to WTIC.com. Go to more and go to contest. You go there, you fill out that form, and you and a guest, if you win, you will be a guest at the debate, which will be at the Ballroom at Stadium 15. Ballroom at Stadium 15 in Farmington, Connecticut on April 30th. You got to go online, the WTIC.com, so you can enter to win, and you could be there. Myself, Brian Shackman, also Morgan Cunningham. We will all be there. We'll be the moderators. Betsy McCoy will be there. Ryan Fazio will be there. And then you could be there. This is brought to you by AARP Connecticut, our proud sponsor of this event on April 30th. But in order to get in, you've got to go online. WTIC.com. Go to more, go to contest, and fill out the application so you could be a part of it. Okay? We'll be promoting that all day, everywhere, so you could be a part of it. And, of course, we'll hang out, and do all that good stuff. And there's a restaurant right next door, Stadium 15, if you want to eat afterwards, or even eat before to go there. So I'll be there. A whole bunch of stuff. When we get back from the program, from the break, I should say, I want to talk about this list that I got and about Connecticut as it relates to poverty in the state. And this is important because this election is coming up, and Lamont is on the hook for all of this. And he was in Farmington, I think, today, and he's been walking. He's been around a lot of places. I've showed up at a few. I think they're pushing their scheduling back, Roland. They made the press conference today at 1:30. Everything else they were doing at 11 and 12 o'clock. Now they're doing 1:30. Somebody got wind that I was going to be there, and now they're doing it later. So I don't show up and ask the tough questions. I'm on to you, people. Don't worry, Reese will be there. We will be there. We'll talk about all that and much, much more. Stand by. This breakdown of these numbers will astonish you, especially those in the African American community, and why the tides are shifting when it comes to elections. These are really, really crazy numbers. All right, we'll get into that, and then we'll wrap the show up. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Our good friend Mark Christopher is back. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
What's up, everybody?
You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is.
It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
During the break when what's his name? John Silva was doing the news. I was forced to say giggity because he said that the firefighters needed to lay down more hose. And that's because of Roseanne. She influences me. She keeps doing that silliness every time somebody says it. It was like, firefighters. As soon as John Silva said it, firefighters had to lay down more hose. And I went, giggity. I'm so infantile. I don't even know why I did it. I felt silly after I did it, and I have no idea I still did it. I didn't have to tell you. I'm embarrassed. I'm such a child. It's just such a child.
Ain't no need to feel ashamed, Reese.
Everybody did it, right?
We've all been there.
I have no idea why I did.
They say when you start to get to be together for so long, you become one.
Yes. As I was just mentioning with the Newsomes. Instead of sort of finishing each other's sentences and taking on their characteristics. But this is what she would do all the time. She was like, that's what she said. She does that all the time. I have to look at her and just go, what are you, 7? Stop that. And now I'm doing it. So as John Silva said it. Twice today he said it. And I went, giggity. I have no idea what's wrong with me. I have to stop. Anyway, thank you for that. I feel very embarrassed. I'll get to the phones in a second. So I looked this up, and this is wild. This is the headline. Key major cities with large black population, focusing on those with significant percentages or absolute numbers, typically over 30 to 40% black or top absolute black cities of 100,000 or more. These are the cities: Detroit, Memphis, Baltimore, Birmingham, Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans, Cleveland, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Chicago, Washington, D.C. Other notable cities are St. Louis, Missouri, Montgomery, Richmond, Newark, and Oakland. What do every one of these cities have in common? Well, they have this. They are Democrat strongholds. They are. Detroit, longtime Democrat stronghold. Current mayor, Mike Dugan. Memphis, Tennessee, 60 to 65% black. Democrat mayor, Paul Young. Baltimore, Maryland, Brandon Scott, Democrat mayor. Birmingham, Alabama. Democrat leadership struggles with poverty and crime, economic stagnation, despite being in a Republican state. Jackson, Mississippi, Democrat mayor, Chokwe Antar Lumumba. Interesting name. New Orleans, 59 to 60% black. Helena Moreno, Democrat mayor. Cleveland, Ohio, Democrat mayor. Atlanta, Georgia, Democrat mayor Andre Dickens. Philadelphia, Democrat mayor. Female even. Chicago, Illinois, Brandon Johnson. Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser. St. Louis, Missouri, Democrat. Montgomery, Alabama, Democrat. Richmond, Virginia, Democrat. Newark, New Jersey, Democrat. Oakland, California, Democrat. All of them. Now, why am I bringing that up? As I've stated on this program before, ask any civil rights person, ask any blogger, or your run-of-the-mill individual of the African-American community, what they will tell you is systemic racism is in America. And I believe that if indeed there is systemic racism, it has to happen where you live, right? It's got to happen in the places you roam the most. If you live in a city, when you go to the store, it's where you shop. It's where you work. It's not like you work on the other side of the state. You usually work where you live. That's reasonable. Unless you commute, out of the state. But generally, people who work and live, it's in the cities that they dwell. And if your city is a Democrat city and you vote in elections for Democrats, you are voting for your very own systemic racism. It's homegrown. You vote for the systemic racist. You do, or you don't. You haven't voted for any Republicans. Republicans play no role in your Democrat city that you are suffering from systemic racism. You suffering systemic racism in the police department? Well, you have a Democrat mayor, don't you? They're in charge. Right? They're not hiring you at the job? Well, the place where you work, is that Democrat run? That's funny. It's obvious that those people who you wish to be employed with, they vote for the same Democrat you do, right? That's funny how all of you could be voting for the same systemic racism that keeps you systemically behind the eight ball. How's that possible? And people tell me that they're voting for the lesser of two evil, but you're still voting for evil. And you've only voted for the same evil you've had for 60 years. Some 70. And when you vote for the lesser of two evil, that means that you've at least experienced the other evil. I asked the person today, what's worse, kale or collard greens? And you say, I haven't had either. How do you know then? If Democrats are the only thing you vote for, but you know that they're the lesser of two evils, it at least would have to say, well, I experienced what it's like to have Republicans in control in my city, and they were horrible, so the Democrats don't give me that much guff. But if you've never voted for a Republican, there's no way for you to say the lesser of two evils. You've had to at least try both of them. And if you haven't for the last 60 years, you're not voting for the lesser of two evils. It's impossible, virtually impossible for you to do so. You have to have had both. And so I looked this up because the same person who keeps saying this nonsense clearly does not understand the English language. I looked into it and I asked a simple question. Has the Democrat Party improved the livelihood of African Americans in the state? No. The answer was no. It has gotten progressively worse under Democrat supermajority leadership. More and more people are behind. More and more people are struggling. More and more people are on the dole. More and more people are failing. More and more. Supermajority. They have everything. No one to stop them. Everything that they implement goes straight through. And people's lives have gotten worse. So how can you possibly scream the lesser of two evil when the so-called other evil has never even received a shot? You won't even give them a shot. You're voting for your own demise. But then again, that's because we're not willing to say the truth. And that is, the people who say that they're voting for the lesser of two evils are too stupid to know that you have to try two in order to know which one is less evil. Maybe that's the thing. But if you're not stupid, maybe this November you'll think about it. I'll go back to 2008, and I'll use your own reasoning. Back in 2008, I said to a lot of people, why are you voting for Barack Obama? And many people told me, well, we've had white presidents all this time. I figured it was time to let a black guy do it and see what happens. I said, oh, so it's an experiment to you. And they said, yeah, it's time to give a black guy a chance. Well, let's have it, folks. How about we give a Republican a chance? We've had a Democrat for a lot of years, and they've been a supermajority, and things got worse. You're no happier than you were before. Test scores failing, poverty on the rise, businesses leaving. So, if you're in the experimental mood, why not give it another go? Just saying. Let's go to Steve. How you doing, big guy?
Hey, Steve from the Silver City, formerly the Bridge to Nowhere. I got something for you.
What do you got?
Here it is.
Oh, you got a song for me.
Listen to the words.
Is this my guy?
Richard Penniman. Slipping and sliding. You were talking about it at 5 after 5.
I sure enough was. Thank you.
I had to put it on. You should see me go through my pile of records. It's done a long time ago. I've been told that you've been told.
You have got like every record I could possibly think of, Steve. I got to tell you, I love every bit of it.
It starts with Johnny Ace in 1955. It goes to the Platters. I mean, we didn't care about color back then. It was who was the singer and listen to the words.
Hey, exactly right. Is that a great song, and can I dance to it, right?
Oh, man, I'll tell you, you can really go on that son of a gun, I'll tell you. And we used to go up to a State Theater in Hartford and see all these shows live, you know. It's like, I think I told you before, but they're right at my fingertips. I got almost every record of every...
I see. Listen, I haven't been able to stump you once. God bless you.
Well, the next one I'm going to play for you is called Dearest by Mickey and Sylvia. That's for you and Roseanne, maybe, when I get a chance.
Give me another shout later on in the week. I'd appreciate it, Stevie. Thank you, man.
Yeah, you do something on Friday about music. Maybe I'll do it
right.
Friday.
You got it,
okay.
sir. Thank you.
Catch you later, brother.
You got it. Is this Stevie V? Is Stevie V on the line? What's up, buddy?
It is. Hey, what was that mayor's name that you couldn't pronounce?
Mayor Arunin.
Arunin? I thought it was something longer than that.
Oh, no. Which? Oh, the mayor. Okay, that was on the list. Hold on. I'll get to it. Oh, yeah. It's Chokwe Antar Lumumba.
Wasn't that person in the Tarzan movie?
Yeah, he's the mayor out of Jackson, Mississippi. I've never heard of this person. I don't even know what they look like. Yeah.
Hey, that young gentleman you had on the other day, I didn't get a chance to hear him.
TJ Duarte.
If you have a chance and you have a spot available, maybe you could invite him to that event at Station 15.
Oh, no, he is coming. I mentioned it.
Oh, he is. Okay,
yeah.
awesome.
TJ will be there. TJ will be there to meet everybody, and he's doing a segment here on the program called Future So Bright, which I'm going to start in, I think, just after the debate. We're going to bring him in. In fact, I got lunch with him this afternoon where we're going to sort of break down exactly how we're going to do it.
Okay, and just to touch base on all the people voting for Democrats. First of all, you mentioned Barack Obama. He was half white. I think they should have probably just built a half court for the basketball court. That being the case,
you ain't even right.
I honestly think that these Democrats mostly say one thing and behind doors or say what they really think.
I believe you. I've said it before, Stevie V. These people, everything that they do is performative. When they get home, they are nothing like that. I tell you, my friend who I speak to all the time, I say, come on, man, you don't really believe in this. He goes, well, of course, I can't. I can't agree with any of that stuff, but I can't support anybody else. And he's just diehard. He's a diehard leftist, and he does that. It's all performative in public, but then when he gets behind the scenes, he is absolutely against what his party stands for.
Yeah, and not for nothing, but this tax the rich, that's just a talking point that's never going to happen. And the Democrats like the rich just as much as the Republicans do.
Yes, they do. Thank you, Stevie.
Adios.
All right, buddy. Another great show. Thank you, Melody. I appreciate that. I don't care about the red or blue or Demo, Republican, conservative. Oh, never mind. Who's got the policy that sticks? Agreed, 100% there, 25, or 25th, as I like to say. You're 100% right on that, and I agree with it. I've never, unfortunately, the way that things are now, we rarely ever see anyone who is middle of the road. I had this conversation with Kevin Meggett. He said, I think I'm down the middle. I'm an independent. I was like, tell me where you are conservative. And it took a long time for him to figure it out. I actually had to help him figure out where he was conservative. When you say that you're an independent or you're in the middle of the road, you should be able to know where your conservative leanings are. It should be easy. When they can't, they're Democrats. That's just the truth. I'm sorry, it's true, but it just is. You should be able to tick off that stuff. If you really are who you are, you should be able to tick that off easily. Like I said, tomorrow, Gwen Samuel will be here. Our guest tomorrow. We'll talk about Matt Lesser and, of course, the Capital Prep School and what's going on there. She'll be our guest at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, so you be here as well. Thank you again to Linda Szynkowicz. Make sure you check her out at fightvoterfraud.org. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning. So plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you back here at 2 o'clock on the dot. Mark Christopher is getting you home. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Good night, sir.